In her mid-40s, after the loss of both her parents, her My Turn column in Newsweek about her third grader son's reaction to the 1991 Marion school plane crash. Many of us here, I'm sure, remember that dreadful day. Garnered hundreds of letters of consolation from readers across the country. Let's welcome Jane Brooks.
Oh, okay. All right, I have to do a dual action here. This is a true story.
Hold it a little closer.
You're gonna have to hold that mic up.
True story. A few years ago, I was on an Amtrak train coming from Washington, and I sat across from this lovely young woman, a recent Georgetown graduate, she told me. And we ended up chatting the whole time. We covered job hunting, movies, music, and then books, which was when I said, I find the growing number of banned books really disturbing. And she looked at me and she said, I don't get it. I mean, you just said that you love the Stones and you love the Beatles, so why would books about bands bother you? The concept of banned books has long fascinated me. In the 1960s, I read Madeleine L'Engle's science fiction novel, A Wrinkle in Time, a Newbery Medal winner, to my class of fifth graders who were enthralled with the story, and not a single parent complained. So I was really shocked when I recently discovered that the book has consistently faced ban challenges, primarily because of its intersection of science and religion. Some accuse it of being too Christian, while others find it opposes Christian beliefs. I plan to read it again, though, because if that's true, I'm lucky I didn't get fired because I was a Jewish teacher reading it to an entire class of Christian kids. For this event, there was a book I wanted to read, a book that in its time was as explosive as 50 Shades of Grey and appeared on banned lists in multiple countries. That book, anybody guess?
Fear of Flying.
No, Peyton Place. Written by Grace Metalius, published in 1956, with the paperback version arriving a year later, selling over 12 million copies. The novel took place in a small, picturesque New Hampshire town in the late 1930s, early 40s. It covered all the vices: alcoholism, sexual repression, adultery, sexism, incest, rape, abortion, even murder. But I guess some of those are more than just vices. I was 10 years old when the book came out, so you can do the math. And when I found a copy in my mom's closet on the shelf, hidden under a pile of sweaters, I devoured that book every chance I got, which meant waiting until my mom was either out of the house, which was rarely, or hosting a bridge or mahjong game, which was frequently. The book was an awakening, unlike anything I read up till then, and I was a voracious reader. When I told my best friends about it, it sent them searching. And of course, everybody found the book in their mother's closet. And soon, we were discussing that book every chance we got. And when I think back about that now, I think that was my first book club. Peyton Place reached the top of the New York bestseller list at lightning speed, remaining there for 59 weeks, making it, at the time, the best-selling novel of the 20th century. It actually blew Gone with the Wind from the #1 spot that it had occupied for years. Despite its popularity, or perhaps due to its popularity, Peyton Place faced challenges and bans from schools, libraries, and bookstores due to its controversial and sexually explicit content, the usual reason for banning books. It was also banned in Canada, though my friend Susan remembers sneaking it from her mom's closet, and this was in Toronto, and there was no Amazon back then, so somehow her mother managed to get a copy. I don't know. But there's an interesting fact I discovered. Peyton Place was totally banned in Australia, but Australia permitted an expurgated version in 1957. And it turns out that in the 1950s, British publishers would often pre-censor American novels in order to avoid Australia's stringent censorship. And these expurgated copies were known as Australian editions. I found that fascinating. After the paperback version of Peyton Place came out, there was the blockbuster movie, followed by the television series that ran for 5 years. Metalius wrote a sequel called Return to Peyton Place, which came out in '59. But she didn't do well, sadly, with fame, and apparently had some issues. And at age 39, she died of cirrhosis, leaving behind a husband and 3 kids. So that was unfortunate. I was able to get a copy of the book from our very own Lower Merion library system. There is a single copy housed at Gladwin. And the irony of going to the picturesque little village of Gladwin to pick it up wasn't lost on me. I planned to just skim it, but instead I ended up reading all 371 pages to see what made it so groundbreaking. And truthfully, I found it disappointing. I wouldn't call it a page turner. The writing was not especially crisp or clever. There were 7 mentions of Indian summer on page 1 alone, which gave me pause, but I did persevere. The book does not hold up so well, and for all its controversy when it was published, it's nowhere near the equivalent of 50 Shades of Grey in its shop value. Certainly not now. What did fascinate me about the book was how graphic it wasn't. Compared to bestsellers of today, the book requires far more imagination from the reader. The difference between Salacious and Peyton Place and a book like 50 Shades of Grey is not the story itself, but in the descriptive narrative. Yeah, in Peyton Place, there were scandals. Teens had sex, single adults were sleeping together, married adults probably were sleeping together. There was a hint of homosexuality, parental abuse, and incestuous rape. But the reader had to use more imagination than today's readers, because the devil was not in the details. The action was not explicitly described, it was alluded to. Today, an incident like that rape scene would probably be hideously graphic. So here's where I went down the rabbit hole. After I finished the book, I discovered that the movie Peyton Place from 1959 was available on Amazon. So I rented it, and surprisingly, I really enjoyed it. It was visually stunning because it was actually filmed. It takes place in New Hampshire, but it actually was filmed in Camden, Maine, on the Penobscot Bay, and if you've been there, it's really beautiful. And the cast included 2 of the most gorgeous actresses of the time. Absolutely beautiful Lana Turner as the single mother with a successful business and a dark secret that she kept from her teenage daughter. And absolutely luminous, just magnificent, Hope Lang as the teenage rape victim who ends up on trial for murder. As far as I'm concerned, this was the case of the movie outshining the book. Peyton Place remains an ode to an ideal of small-town charm, where truth and lies collide, where honesty is often just a veneer, and loyalty is regarded as the most valuable chip. Worthy of banning? No. But small towns full of secrets, maybe like Ardmore.
Jane Brooks, thank you.